Headbuttressia 83 by Donna McBride. Bitterness and awesomeness are all present moments. The dreidel is a Merkabah. Neither is it ironical nor revenge, but obscene knowing. Some gold mold angels try to make themselves other angels. Kabbalah is a flow of dialogue too, when it's best. Do you trust me? Says Benevuvah, nodded the head by his wife. Angels may be weirder than we think. That's why they call it Purim, because you must eventually have sex. Hope. Unsex me here, says Lady Macbeth. James Joyce could be like Dante if you use your imagination, says Jennifer. Don't forget to thank him. No. Angel says, and no, says Jennifer. Sex, says Benevuvah. Well, says Ora Tiferet. Who plays dreidel? You lost even their names, Benevuvah, says my wife. Draw a dreidel, says Benevuvah. Emunah, trust in the angels, you know too. That is why there was the tale of 1/3 of them falling from heaven, says Benevuvah. Blind Homer wrote the Odyssey. Who was Odysseus? Says Ora. Stringing the bow. Ora Tiferet says that. Wind, whip the polo bar. Benevuvah thinking as he prepares himself for Emunah, trusting his instincts. Shocking, says Elaine. T-O-V, says Tov Tov Shalom, when we think of the Merkabah around our great song last year. We are making into symphony's first movement. Babbitt by Sinclair Lewis, says Elaine. Now we're all going to be quiet, says Pekot. Not right now, Hope fluttering in Benevuvah's breast as he tries there to channel her. Gershom Solon, redemption through sin, says Hope. It's as if we are just scratching the surface of the imagination, says Amy. Emunah must be an imaginative sublime, says Amy. Billy, you've been set up in a Tov way, says Amy. Emerson is at a center of a circular room in Metal Settle, says Amy. Use your head to find the secret doorway, says the Metal Settler. Mother, oh, says Benevuvah. I know you can't hear me, but I love you, says A.B. William Blake was a lifelong rebel, says Harold Bloom. Playing games against the angels, says A.B. What does Rorty say, says I. He says don't worry about your own heaven, just help people live better lives, says Hope. I had a Merkabah, a little with Kant. Do you think we could remember the text and go on remembering details as if there were no bottom, says Benevuvah. Says Hope. I thought, can I imagine that? Says Benevuvah. Says Tubspeed. To rescue my beings back with a dreidel. Benevuvah. Hey, says Billy. Hey what? Says Teapot. I can contact my past self, says Billy. Really? Try it, says Teapot. Hey, Billy in the present says. Hey, Billy a year or so ago. It will be okay, it's not a prostitution ring, it's your pneuma, says Billy in the present. Billy, you did it, says Teapot. It's not a prostitution ring, says Pneuma. Nietzsche on guilt, Benevuvah says. Be not solitary, says Richard Burton. The world's spin may be a dreidel, says Benevuvah. I want you to be open with me, says Benevuvah to Stephanie. The channel can change a lot and instantly, says Benevuvah. An actor who is playing in a lifelong play, who mysteriously forgets he's an actor. What now, says Tov Tov Shalom. Maybe I just had another breaking of the vessels from praying, says B'nai Ruvah. Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid, says Anonymous. What can we find words for, already dead in our hearts? There is always a contempt for the act of speaking, says Friedrich Nietzsche. Contempt for speaking? That is a breaking of the vessels too, says Tikbat. The golden rectangle? We will see about that one day, says Amy. So, is that you? Your voice goes from there to there, that range, B'nai Ruvah to Amy. That's right, says Amy. The breaking of the vessels is a dreidel loss, says B'nai Ruvah. So, that's a dreidel loss, and the win is a Merkabah experience. What are the other two? Penelope says. And Ariel says, hope and cope. Billy kisses Penelope, but is blocked from remembering the other angel he just kissed. It's okay, Billy, we're blocking you, says Penelope. Yeats and force, says Penelope. I am here. I have come to my place and know my place, and I have been here before, says Penelope. We call this planet Earth not because of the science of geography, but because of many, many different stories have called it that, says Penelope. That's democracy, says Penelope. Ages and ages run their course. Our time is no different from those first in the world, says Penelope. Men and women have settled or are moving around, says Donna. People are born, live a while, die, and are buried, says B'nai Ruvah. Cities have been built in small towns in the land, says B'nai Ruvah. The men and women who have lived before have been remembered through their great deeds. Children have grown up in war, and children have grown up in peace, says Donna. Men and women congregate into groups and make plans, says Donna. We have populated the world as animals have, says Honey. The children are taught to be like others, says Honey. People cook and share food with their families every day, says Honey. People make what is important, what are their priorities in life, says Honey. Various climates in the world occur, says Honey. Many languages are spoken by different cultures and civilizations, says Honey. An advancement in the progress of humankind occurs now and again, says Honey. People live and do things with others, and also by themselves alone, says Yitzhak Kavad. The bodies of people are fragile and open to danger, says Yitzhak Kavad. We work and also amuse ourselves, says B'nai Ruvah. Families stay together, says Yitzhak Kavad. New things are made and old products are repeated and repaired, says Yitzhak Kavad. People develop likes and dislikes of other people, things and ideas, says Yitzhak Kavad. Distance separates our towns, says Lisbeth. In the distances that separate our populations are wildernesses and roads, says Lisbeth. Some things are big and some are tiny, says Lisbeth. Some things we hope for are big and some small, says Lisbeth. The seasons make the air and surroundings cold or hot, says Lisbeth. People sometimes lose objects and they are forgotten, says Lisbeth. People make friends with those who mutually will reciprocate, says Lisbeth. People fall in love, says Tov Tov Shalom. The world is full of color, says Tov Shpid. How do you know what I am saying, says Tom the neighbor. The breaking of the vessels ha-sharivath can happen in a physical way, being exiled from physical dialogues, yet still communicating with neighbors, says Tov, or says Ora or Tiferet. How do we know you're a B'nai B'uvah, says Tom. You're going to hell. I know you don't want me to write that, says Tom. It will be Tov, says Donna. Tom said, not to say chesed, just say O-L, says Penny. Oh, says B'nai B'uvah. What are you going to do when they're coming for you? Say it, Tom, says Tom. What are you going to do when they're coming for B'nai B'uvah, says B'nai B'uvah. The children of Headbuttressia, says Pakat. When will we meet? To Tom and Kim, says B'nai B'uvah. Who am I? Says Neil. Neil, says B'nai B'uvah. How do you know my name? Said Neil. It's getting late, says B'nai B'uvah. How old are you? Says Kim. 9, says B'nai B'uvah. He's 9 to Tom, says Kim. What's wrong with that? Says B'nai B'uvah. She, Kim, needs water, says Tov Shpid. How old are you? 8? B'nai B'uvah says. She's 8, trust me on that, says Tov Shpid. Oh my God, says B'nai B'uvah. Oh no, he didn't, says Tom. Headbuttressia. It's a little like that, says B'nai B'uvah. I will call it Headbuttressia 83, says B'nai B'uvah.